Go back. Which leg are you starting with? Okay, what is the step? One, two, da, 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 da. So dance was part of my life. Dance is part of my life. It's part of who I am. And I think why it was so difficult for me and why I think I struggled so much was because it was literally in a split second overnight ripped away from me. It was taken away from me. To take you all the way back, I was shopping with my daughter, who is now 23 years old. She was 2.5 at the time. I was shopping. She was in one of those push carts that the kiddies sit in. And I just heard my mom scream. And then I felt this extreme weight on my entire head back, the entire back part of my body. As I say, I was 29 weeks expecting with my son. And the next thing I remember was just lying on the floor and feeling this excruciating pain from the top of my head all the way down to my feet. Subsequently, what I discovered was that a steel aluminium ladder had fallen on my back. While shopping, 2 or 3 weeks later, the child was born prematurely, but I was confined to the bed. There was just this extreme pain that would not go away. Bear in mind, I'm an educator at the time. I owned my dance studio. I was teaching dancing the day before this injury happened at 29 weeks expecting. And for somebody who's been so active their entire life, and in a split second for your life to change, where I know what pain is, I know what muscle pain is, I know the different types of pain, because as a dancer we have to study the anatomy of the body. So I knew that this was a different type of pain. Post his birth, that's when we now tried to discover what is going on, because the pain didn't subside. It just got progressively worse and worse and worse. And I couldn't understand why I was struggling to put weight on my feet. Why was I struggling to walk? Why was this pain just there 24/7? It was not going away. We eventually traveled to Germany. So the injury happened in 2005. In 2006, we traveled to Germany, where a doctor, a pain specialist by the name of Dr. Himke, I went under tests through him, and it wasn't even towards the end of that day where he sat my husband and I down and explained, this is the condition that you have. It's called fibromyalgia. I'd never heard of this before. So he explained to us what fibromyalgia is. It's a musculoskeletal condition where all your joints are affected in your body through flare-ups, pain. And he did indicate to me that currently there was no cure. And that was in 2006. There was no cure for this chronic illness. It's triggered either by physical trauma or emotional trauma. So mine was both. It was a physical trauma and the emotional trauma of the physical trauma, and the year that I had to live with this unknown of what was going on with me. Between 2005, 2006, 2007, I was in and out of a wheelchair. So for 2 years, there were days where I could not walk. Just the pain of it was too much, so I could not walk. I had to leave the teaching profession because I could not hold a 9-to-5 job. I could not look after my children. And for me, the difficult thing is doctors not understanding, especially that time in South Africa, just doctors not understanding what was going on with me, because they couldn't see a physical injury. They couldn't see something physically on my body, so they just dismissed it, to a point where one of the doctors said to my husband, I think there's something wrong with her. The condition, the illness may be here rather than in her body. And I remember sitting in a psychiatrist's office, and while I'm explaining to her what I'm going through, I just remember her putting pill after pill after pill after pill onto this white saucer. And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, I'm pouring my heart out to you. I'm trying to explain to you what I'm feeling emotionally and what I'm feeling, what I'm going through physically. And you're not even listening to me. You're just popping medication. So for the longest time, yes, I was on medication, chronic medication, and you're in a zombie state. You know, you're not fully functional on what's going on around you. And I'm very, very fortunate. I got to a place where we did find a doctor in Johannesburg, a very elderly gentleman. He took the time to hear me out, to speak to me from an emotional place, but then also asking me physically, where's the pain that I'm feeling. He ended up being my psychologist, he ended up being my orthopedic, he ended up being everything to me. He ended up being like a father figure to me. And my daughter, because I was in hospital in Johannesburg while he was consulting with me, and my daughter was next to me at the bed, and she asked me, "Mommy, are you going to die?"
I remember my mom fell, my uncle literally had to scoop her up, take her to hospital, and I don't think I saw her for a month after that. And I was just worried, oh my God, is my mother going to die?
And I thought, for my child at that age to be wondering if her main concern was, "Mommy, are you going to die?" I can't let her live like that. Every day wondering if Mom's going to the hospital or the doctor today, is she coming home? Is that the last time I'm going to see my mother?
I remember going to hospital, seeing my mother very sick, and I was just wondering, oh my God, when is my mother coming out? I miss my mother, you know? So there's been a lot of moments in my life where, when she's in so much pain and she literally has to crawl up the stairs to try and get to her bedroom because she physically cannot stand and pull herself together because of the spasms that she'd experience when you're in the car, and she'd lock, and my brother had to take over and drive because, she was in so much pain. It made me realize how much looking back now in retrospect, it made me realize how much she's had to overcome to get to where she is today.
And that was where I thought, you know what? I'm going to make the change. I'm going to make the change. I am going to get up. I am going to, on the days that are good, I'm going to turn them into fabulous days. And on the days that are not so good, they're not so good. It is what it is. I'll take those days to rest, to reset.
Something interesting that I picked up on her Instagram is that she has fibromyalgia, which is a very difficult condition to have because you're in constant pain and nobody sees that or notices that. But you are the one that's suffering with it if you have fibromyalgia. But she doesn't show that. That's how amazing she is. She carries herself with such elegance and such strength and power. And there's a lot to learn and take from somebody like Lenore, who carries so much pain internally because of her condition, yet she is so bubbly and educating, and you can learn so much from her in the short space of time that I've known her and met her.
You know more than you think you know, trust me. So just go for it. Don't look down. Be confident. Even if you are unsure on something, just show that you're confident about it in your body. Right, so again, let's go right through. Music, it was very, very difficult. If I'm being perfectly honest, if I'm being truthfully honest, it was very, very difficult. I went into the deepest states of depression. That's a reality. I'd lost everything. I was no longer able to teach at school as an educator. I lost my business. And for me, engaging and being with young children is what I loved doing. That is my passion. Education and teaching dance was not a job for me. It was a passion. It came so naturally. It's something that I loved doing. So can you imagine losing everything? I just got to a point where I thought, you know what? I may not be able to dance the way I did. I may not be able to be as flexible and stand for as long as I could. But it doesn't mean that I can't do it. When that light bulb moment went off, I had met somebody who was in a wheelchair, had an injury, sustained an injury also, had an accident, but was wheelchair bound. I was fortunate enough that I was able to get out of the wheelchair through rehabilitation, through support from my husband, my children, my family. I was able to get out of that, and through obviously medical treatment as well. It makes you relook at life. It makes you change your perspective on life and what life is. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to get back into the dance world. If it means that I sit and adjudicate competitions, I'll do it, because it doesn't take away from the knowledge that I have. Knowledge is key, knowledge is power. That cannot be taken away from me. So I think getting back into the dance space helped me a lot with my rehabilitation as well, and also strengthening myself mentally, physically, emotionally. And when you're vulnerable enough to share your story with people, because instead of people staring at you and wondering why, that's when I thought, you know what, let it be known. Let me tell my story. Let me tell you what is wrong with me. This is the condition that I have. Actually, I retract. Let me not say what is wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me. There is nothing wrong with me. It's just part of who I am. There's nothing wrong with me. So let me rephrase that. Let me be vociferous and let me explain to you why you see me in certain circumstances sometimes, so that you don't have to wonder and you don't have to come up with your own story and your own narrative about me. And I think once I felt comfortable in saying, look, this is me. This is Lenore. This is who she is. Sometimes she's like this, sometimes she's like that, but that's what makes me me. And once I got okay with it, and once I felt comfortable and accepted that, I was able to freely speak to those around me. And fortunately, in the dance fraternity, they were very, very understanding. So that really assisted me in, you know, getting to where I am today, but also just in, it's okay being who you are, the way you are, and just show up.